大家好，我是 Ada， 欢迎收看我们本期的 LH 访谈。这次我们请到了 Castle Cove 的 McGrath Real Estate 的 Principal Craig Ireson 来给我们做这期 podcast.
A bit about myself. So basically, you guys will probably freak out when you hear this, but I started in 1976. So I went to uni and did valuation, real estate valuation at uni, and actually went and asked for a job with a real estate agency, and I told them I wanted to do valuation. So they put me on as a cadet valuer, and that was really interesting experience because the company was owned by, the real estate agency was owned by a development firm in the ACT in Canberra. And what a great opportunity for me because I was able to cut my teeth doing residential but commercial and industrial valuations as well because they had an in-house valuer that was there. And growing up, and I was like 18, I did my HSC and I was 18, so it was a really good intro into the real estate game for me, and I had to cut my teeth on property management as well.
Okay.
And very interesting times, and if you look at the market today compared to what it was like in the late 70s.
Very different.
Very different, because I'm old. But if you think about it, like, it's actually interesting because today, the market creates more competition. The system creates more competition among buyers. And in the old days, you would have a house priced at, say, $100,000, which was an expensive house in those days. And you'd have, the price at $100,000, and then houses would take 6 to 8 months to sell. And a lot of them did, not just, one or two. It was all the houses would take a long time to sell. We used to take people out in our cars and we'd drive them out to the home, and they didn't like it, they'd move on. But then it was interesting because we're in what they call multi-list, and it was called EAC, Estate Agents Cooperative Multi-List. So Ada could have listed a house, or you could have listed a house, and if I sell it, I would get a portion of the fee, but you would get a portion of the fee as well. So it was actually collaborative in the way that it was a co-op. Wow. It was they called it multi-lists. But the problem with that is if the house was, say, $100,000, you'd get somebody who'd make an offer of, say, 75 or 80 grand, and the vendor would make an offer of 95 grand because it's as a counter offer, and you may meet in the middle at $90,000.
Yep.
Now, remember, the price of the house, the asking price was 100 grand. And if it was 100 grand, that's fine, but not one single sale happened at 110. So what I'm saying to you is the system didn't create competition to make a sale of 105 or 110,000. So it was very, very interesting.
So that was back in the 80s?
70s.
70s.
That's interesting to hear. Do you ever do an auction campaign like these days back in those old days?
No.
Okay.
And that's the interesting thing. So it was just all private treaty. Wow. So you take people through it in a very laborious way of doing it. It was collaborative, but it didn't. There wasn't as much time pressure on anybody, and the agents included. So the agents would just take people around. Everything just happened so much more slowly. Whereas today, you're creating more competition.
Craig has apparently been in this industry for so long. Where do you first start in this area? Or I believe the population, even in Upper North Shore, Lower North Shore, they're quite different compared with today's market.
Yeah. Yes, Ada. I moved to Sydney in my banking days in 85. So I was at Pymble. Lived in Pymble for a number of years. And long story short is moved down this way to Camaray. Cutting a long story short, done a lot of renovations over the years, and with my wife we've done some renovations and then sell. The whole idea to get our mortgage down. But my last employed role was at Macquarie Bank. I resigned in 2003 and went out consulting, and everybody, I'm sick of hearing the word consultant, but people talk about a consultant. What does that mean? But there are a lot of insolvency firms that would ring me up and say, they would look after sporting clubs, RSL clubs, all those sort of clubs. So anywhere from the Illawarra through to Coffs Harbour, they would ring me up and I'd try and work out what was the highest and best use for some of those sites. With some colleagues as well, we'd work it out and see if the thing could be done. Some of these were clubs that were, say, golf clubs, and a lot of them in financial difficulty. And a lot of the people weren't sure of how to literally work out what the potential for their site was. So there was a lot of that. But then the opportunity after, it's probably about 8 or 9 years, the opportunity came to buy this business. Okay. We've lived here now in this area for 25 years in this suburb in Castle Cove, And we saw that as an opportunity too, because we fell in love with the area itself. And when you fall in love with the area, it makes it a lot easier. You can certainly be passionate about it as well. So we, the opportunity, it was about 12 years ago, the opportunity to buy the local real estate office here. It was a first national office back in the day. And we were working under that brand for quite a while, and we were quite happy with that. But we joined McGrath because they had a couple of other ideas, and we quite some ideas that was suggested to us that made a lot of sense. And McGrath's training and system is second to none. There is just no doubt about it. They're brilliant. And I can say that at my age because I've seen a lot of systems there. And leading from the front, from John McGrath himself, he's still got amazing energy, and everybody follows. So I think that for us, it's worked out really, really well here. So we've been here now, as I say, 12 years running this business. The last 4 years under the McGrath brand, and it's been good for us too because we've got good support from them as well.
Yeah, you have quite a few offices down here. Middle Cove, Castle Craig is your area, and then you have Northbridge office, and then Willoughby.
Yep.
Quite a big team.
Yeah, so we've actually, a lot of us work together. So our Willoughby office, which they own Crow's Nest as well. So we have all different principals running those businesses. So Mossman, Northbridge, Huddersfield, Lane Cove, Crow's Nest, Willoughby. And basically, there's 7 of us that sort of work together. We are, it's pretty good too because we use that clout and that strength when we can. We actually put out a weekly open home book, which is really good for all our listings. And we do honestly work together a lot of the time to help each other with listings in our different areas.
Coming back to Castle Cove, what's your view on demography these days compared to 10, 20 years ago? There being a big change, or what the main group of vendors and group of buyers are coming to market these days?
Good question. We have, the first thing is that this area was established late 50s, so 59. The main subdivision in this area, Castle Cove, were done by Hooker Rex Estates. But it's been amazing because what's happened lately is a lot of those people are in their 80s now. Because they were in their 20s, starting a family, buying the land, building a house on the area, and now downsizing. Now they've got to downsize. So what we find is a lot of younger families are coming in. Where are they coming from? They're coming from units and townhouses and villas from places like Neutral Bay, Camaray, Cremorne, Crow's Nest, St Leonard's, and a lot of them, not just Asian, but a lot of them of all demographics coming in to find a house. They just want more space. COVID taught us a lot. Because they were coming to our area and they're saying things like, hey, get us out of that apartment because, we've got spacing, we can't get in a lift with the baby in the pram, all those sort of things. So they wanted to get more space. It was really as simple as that. And there was a need too for people to have a home office, so to work from home. They needed that extra bedroom. So that's why they're looking for space here. In terms of the demographics, in terms of nationality, that's an interesting one too, because we were about 28%, 30% mainland and Hong Kong Chinese here when we first opened the business, when we first took over the business. Now we're about 42%. So mainland and Hong Kong Chinese. So a lot of the mainlanders and Hong Kongers that I talk to have, sometimes they'll migrate and they'll move into an apartment, and that may be in Chatswood, that may be in St Leonard's, that may be Lower North Shore. And what they're saying is they want a little bit more solitude, they want more privacy, but they still want to be close to, say, Chatswood. They can still speak Mandarin, go to lunch with their friends and everything else. So Castle Cove's been that target suburb for them. So that's part of what they like about it. And plus they get more space and they don't necessarily want to be in an apartment when they have kids. So it's a transition for them. Sometimes they'll spend a year or two in an apartment. They buy an apartment in, St Leonard's or Chatswood or somewhere. But they will then say, look, let's go to somewhere like Castle Cove because it's literally directly east of Chatswood, except it's on the water. We've got great views. It's a lifestyle suburb. I
The other thing I would like to mention, when you mentioned the population demographic changes in this area, I remember one thing that I came to your open and they showed me one list of the sheet about all the transport to different schools. That's very impressive because that's something new to me as well. Because our major audience is like when we do this podcast, I believe a lot of our audience, they have concern about public transport and how do they love this area, but they are a bit confusing about how to in and out every day, especially for the kids going to school.
Yep.
So actually this area has a strong transport system for the kids to go into different schools. Yeah,
it does. Actually, that's a good point, Ada. What happened when we first bought into the business, the first thing I'm thinking is, how the heck are people going to know that we're here and what are they thinking? Because a lot of my friends are mainlanders and Hong Kongers and they will say, and some of them we haven't even met, and they'll say, where's the transport? And part of this, Ada, thanks for raising it, because part of it is asking the question of buyers when they're coming through. Do you have kids going to private schools? And they'll say yes, and we say, well, we have, so Knox, Barker, Ravenswood, PLC, Abbottsley, Newington, Scots, Queenwood, all have their own bus from here on Eastern Valley Way, which is really close to this office.
That's it.
And they will take the kids straight into the school grounds. So there is a perception that people are talking about, oh, I need to be in Turramurra or Wahroonga or Pymble because my kids are going to school up here. This is a really interesting point. So we can prove that they don't need to be and why they don't need to be. And let's face it, when the kids get off the train, they're still at the train station, whereas these buses are owned by the respective schools. They will take the kids straight into the school grounds. So on a rainy day, it's not a bad thing. If you think about it, it's pretty good.
That's a good point, yeah.
So thank you for raising it, Ada, because that's been one of the key things that people... It's perception, right? And perception is reality if you don't know the answer. The other thing is, when we first moved to the area, I had a company car with my job and everything else, so I'd drive into the city. But there's times when I was doing a presentation, so I'd be doing stuff on my phone. Now, obviously, I can't drive my car then. I learned very quickly about our express bus network. And until the metro comes to Chatswood, because if I caught those buses and you jumped on the train, I would actually beat you by 7 minutes because there are 6 buses from just down here, from this office, that take me to Wynyard in... on a good day, 12 minutes, and on a bad day, 17. So it's faster than the train. So these are the things that nobody knows about, which is another reason, and thanks for raising it, Ada, because that's what, on a podcast like this, it's important for people to actually be able to understand it.
People's lifestyle as well. So here I have the water views, but even it's not waterfront, you still got very good greenery views, also privacy, also low-key lifestyle. You don't just be out there. Everyone knows about your house. So I think quite a lot of people love this area for this reason.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point because by and large the block sizes are decent block sizes compared to, say, Willoughby. And people seem to like Willoughby because it's flat. But you make a good point. When you're buying some of the properties here that aren't flat, you're still getting outlook. You're getting aspect, even if it's green or across an escarpment or something like that. So you're looking at, you've got a view. And, it depends on what people want. If it's a personal choice, if you're on a flat block of land, that's great. But do you have an outlook? What are you looking at? Well, really, you're looking at your fence, and it depends what people want. If they want that fence with a big hedge around it, that's great too. But you look out the front, you're looking at, the street. So some of the houses here, they create more privacy as well because they're further apart. The setbacks from each house from the other house. And that's a really good point, Ada, because from a privacy point of view, you're not literally looking into somebody in their lounge room right next door. Generally, it's more privacy. And aspect is great because you've got, as I say, there's an outlook. There's a view. It doesn't always have to be water, as you say.
Yeah. Really thank Craig for his time today with us. But to roll it up, we would like to ask what's Craig's favourite restaurant in this area? And if, say, someone new here, what's his recommendation to go?
Good question. We actually, believe it or not, the Thai restaurant next door to us is really, really good. Actually, really good. And I love Thai food, so it's really, really nice. And they've done a great job. They've only been here about a year and a half now. They moved in, but they're very popular. Also down the marina, there's a new restaurant operator in the marina now too, and they are looking to really make a good go of it, and I think that's a great place to go if you want to go and have a casual lunch. You're sitting on the water, right? Beautiful. It's fantastic. Yeah. It's lifestyle. It's a complete lifestyle down on the water, and they've got a cafe as well. We have two good cafes here as well, Rosebud and Cornucopia. So we're pretty happy with what we've got for cafes for people to meet at, which is great.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
And myself, I'm a jogger, and then Leon has a dog, and he usually likes to walk dog on different streets. So also would like to ask for your recommendation on Sunday, sunny day. So if I ever want to choose a nice street to have the best view in this area, which area would you recommend?
Yeah, that's a good point. Good question. So we have an off-leash dog park. This is Holly Street, just down the side here. There's an off-leash dog park just down the road here, literally 200, 300 metres from here. Kids do play sport on it as well, and adults play sport on it, but it's great. So this suburb is full of dogs. So people who are dog lovers love living here because it's easy to have dogs. And in terms of where I would go for walks, all the peninsula streets, Willowy Road, Neeram Road, and they've all got great views, and you're really walking along the perimeter of the peninsula, so you're looking at the harbour as you go. It's not too bad. It's not a bad look. It's pretty good.
Hey, Craig, I'm a golfer myself, and I heard some exciting news about Castle Cove Golf Course is going to have a decent upgrade. Can you talk to us about it?
Yeah. It's been about 5 years in the making.
Wow.
The golf course. So the golf course is a public course. It's a 9-holer. I'm a member. I played a handful of games there because my golf game is very ordinary now. But the plans have been lodged with Willoughby Council just before Christmas.
Okay.
I'm not sure when we'll expect an approval, but what we should end up with is a new clubhouse. So the old clubhouse will be demolished and the new clubhouse will be on the car park on Deepwater Road. So it's not far from here, but it's also a bit further down the peninsula for those people interested. Restaurant, bar, cafe effectively will be there, and a function room as well, which would be very cool. And that will probably become another favourite, but one of the places we're talking about. And potentially 17 apartments next to that, which will be over 60s. So they'll be under the SEP Seniors Apartments.
Okay.
So it's actually exciting.
Which will have the whole golf course view.
Have golf course views, great golf course views.
Yeah.
And particularly if you're a retiree, what a great spot. You're looking straight down the fairway. You've got restaurant, bar, cafe and everything right next door to you. So for seniors apartments, for seniors living, not bad if you're a golfer.
Can't wait to retire then.